Hey, this is Brennan Walsh here, and I decided I'm going to make a video series where I go over my top 3 albums from each year. And I'm going to start with the year 2000, so the start of the new millennium. What do I think are my favorite 3 albums that were released in the year 2000? So, first off, my favorite. And that's at this point in time. At the end of the video, I'll talk about what I was listening to in 2000, which is very different from what I listen to now. But currently, my favorite music from 2000 is the album 5, the New Mythology Suite from Symphony X. Symphony X is an amazing progressive metal band with neoclassical and symphonic influences. Michael Romeo's guitar playing, Russell Allen's vocals, they're always top notch. This isn't my favorite Symphony X album. My favorite would actually be 2007's Paradise Lost. In my opinion, the New Mythology Suite is maybe kind of a fairly average Symphony X album, but Symphony X is a really strong band, so it still gets my top spot of the year. It's not their best, not their worst, but still my album of the year for 2000. My second favorite would be The Construction of Light by King Crimson. King Crimson is one of the pioneering bands of progressive rock. They released their first album way back in 1969, but I think I'm one of the few weird King Crimson fans that actually really loves their later albums from the 2000s. I find their 2 albums from the 2000s to be some of their best work. My favorite at the moment is 2003's The Power to Believe, but The Construction of Light is my second favorite King Crimson right now. But maybe ask me again next month and that could change because they have so many great albums. Now, my third favorite from the year 2000 is Physicist by Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend is probably my favorite vocalist at the moment, and I would consider Physicist a progressive metal album that he put out in the year 2000. But Devin does release a lot of music in a lot of different styles over his career, so there's a lot of variety there. And in my opinion, Physicist again is more of an average album in his catalog. It's not his best, not his worst. But it still took my third spot for top albums of 2000. My favorite Devin Townsend album right now is his latest one from 2019, Empath. Alright, so those are my top 3 albums from the year 2000. Let's do a couple honorable mentions. My honorable mentions are White Pony by Deftones and Lightbulb Sun by Porcupine Tree. But all of the albums that I just mentioned, I did not listen to any of those things back in the year 2000. What were my favorites at the time? Well, I was 9 years old, turning 10 in December in the year 2000, so it was a long time ago. I didn't learn about Symphony X until sometime around 2005, when I think it was my friends who I played music with sometimes, Nick and Eric, who got me into them. Nick was the vocalist in my high school band called Lanky, so thanks for getting me into Symphony X. And I don't think I got into King Crimson until maybe sometime around 2009 at the earliest. Maybe I heard about them from Alon, I'm not sure. I didn't discover Devin Townsend until around 2013 at the earliest. I think I heard about them from my friend Will, who was the vocalist of my band Forbidden Conjecture. And Deftones, I think I discovered them in 2012 when I saw them live at Heavy TO at Downsview Park with my cousin Sean. System of a Down headline that night, I remember, and it was my first time seeing System of a Down and my first time seeing Deftones. Such a great and memorable concert, really awesome. And for Porcupine Tree, I think my university roommate Mark introduced me to them maybe around 2009. So what was I actually listening to in the year 2000 when I was 9 years old, turning 10? I think at that time I didn't really listen to any albums that were released that year. but some of the top music I recall listening to at that time was mostly pop stuff. Like I listened to Celine Dion's 1997 album Let's Talk About Love, Aqua's 1997 album Aquarium. A lot of stuff from 1997 is what I was listening to in 2000. So there's Backstreet Boys' 1997 album Backstreet's Back, and Spice Girls' 1997 album Spice World, and Hanson's 1997 album Middle of Nowhere. So lots of those like boy band pop groups. I was a kid then. That was what was popular at the time and on the radio and what all the kids were listening to. And back then we actually listened to CDs, so we might only have bought them like years after they came out. That's why even in the year 2000, I wasn't listening to music from 2000, I was listening to music from 1997, 3 years earlier, because we would only buy the CDs after they had already been out for a little while and we already knew they were good and popular, already heard all the singles on the radio, things like that. We weren't really using the internet as much then. I do recall starting to use the internet to discover music for the first time actually in the year 2000, I think, but I probably mostly downloaded like joke songs. I also think 2000 was the year that I first discovered a punk rock band, Blink-182. I think my friend Aaron showed it to me, and it was much riskier than any music I had listened to before that. It had a lot of energy, some foul language. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty funny. So those are my memories from listening to music in the year 2000. Maybe share some of yours. What are your top three? Thanks.